At some point this week, when no one was around, you did something you would never do in front of another human being. Maybe you talked to yourself out loud, full sentences, a complete argument with someone who wasn't even there. Maybe you ate something straight from the container, standing over the sink, in a way that would embarrass you if someone walked in. Maybe you made a face in the mirror you'd deny with your life. Maybe you danced, just a little, just for a second. You know exactly what I'm talking about, and you're slightly uncomfortable that I do. Here's what's strange about that. You weren't doing anything wrong. Nobody was there, no consequences, no judgment, and yet the moment you even imagine someone watching, something shifts. Your back straightens. The weird thing stops. The private version of you folds away, and the public version steps in without you even deciding to switch. Why? That is the question. Why does one imagined pair of eyes completely reorganize who you are? Why does the presence of a witness, even a hypothetical one, change everything from how you eat to how you sit to how hard you try? The answer doesn't come from social media psychology or office culture. It comes from somewhere much older, and once you see it, you will never look at a camera, a meeting, a silent, empty room, or the version of yourself that exists when no one is watching the same way again. In 1924, researchers walked into a factory outside Chicago called the Hawthorne Works. Their plan was simple. They wanted to know if brighter lighting made workers more productive. So they turned the lights up. Output went up. They turned the lights down. Output still went up. They changed almost nothing at all. Output still went up. Nothing they changed actually mattered. The only thing that mattered was this. The workers knew they were being studied. Psychologist Elton Mayo spent a decade analyzing those results. By the 1930s, the finding had a name: the Hawthorne Effect. Simply being observed by anyone, for any reason, changes how you perform. Not slightly, dramatically. You work harder. You make fewer mistakes. You follow rules you'd quietly ignore if no one was looking. Your brain doesn't wait to find out if the observation is meaningful. The presence of an audience is enough. But why? Why would a brain do that? Go back, way back, 200,000 years ago. You are living in a group of roughly 50 to 150 people. You sleep where they can see you. You eat where they can see you. Your children grow up in front of all of them. There is almost no concept of being truly alone. And that isn't a lifestyle detail, that is the entire architecture of your survival. Robin Dunbar, an evolutionary anthropologist at Oxford University, spent decades studying the link between brain size and social group size across primates. His research landed on something that still surprises people. The human brain didn't grow large primarily to solve problems or build tools. It grew large to manage social reputation, to track who trusts you, who's watching you, and what they think of what they see. Because in a group of 100 people with no courts and no contracts, your reputation was everything. It was food. It was shelter. It was the group's willingness to protect you when something came out of the dark. One act of cowardice, one broken social rule, one moment of being seen doing the wrong thing, and the safety net you depended on could dissolve overnight. Being watched wasn't something ancient humans endured. It was the entire system they were built for. But here's what nobody talks about. If constant observation was so critical to survival, then the opposite question should genuinely unsettle you. What did ancient humans actually do in the rare moments when no one was watching? Anthropologist Christopher Bohm spent decades studying hunter-gatherer communities, small societies that still live in ways that mirror our ancient past. In his 2011 book, Hierarchy in the Forest, Bohm found something researchers hadn't expected. These communities had sophisticated norms around private behavior. Not just how you acted in front of others, there were explicit protected boundaries around things that belonged to you alone. Moments of genuine solitude weren't empty or accidental, they were guarded. Here's the part that changes everything. In 2006, psychologists Melissa Bateson, Daniel Nettle, and Gilbert Roberts ran a study at Newcastle University that behavioral scientists still talk about today. They placed a poster above an honesty box in a shared staff kitchen. Some weeks, the poster showed a photograph of eyes looking directly at you. Other weeks, it showed flowers. On the weeks the eyes were up, people left nearly 3 times more money in the box. 3 times more. Nobody was watching. It was a photograph. A printed image of 2 eyes on a piece of paper. And it completely restructured how people behaved toward each other. Your brain cannot fully distinguish between being watched and the credible possibility of being watched. Same alertness, Same performance shift, same quiet reorganization of who shows up. The signal that triggers it doesn't need to be real, it just needs to feel possible. And this is where your daily life right now becomes genuinely strange to look at. You are living inside the most observed moment in the entire history of the human species. In 2023, researchers estimated the average person in a major city is captured on surveillance cameras more than 70 times a day. Your phone tracks your location every hour. Your search history maps your fears. Your scroll behavior identifies your insecurities with a precision no ancient gossip network could have dreamed of. You are functionally never unwatched. And what that does to a brain wired for occasional, meaningful, socially important observation is something psychologists are only beginning to understand. In 2015, Sherry Turkle at MIT published research showing that constant digital visibility was quietly eroding what she called the capacity for solitude. Not physical solitude, something deeper. The ability to be with yourself, unedited, not performing for an imagined future audience, not rehearsing a version of the moment you'll describe to someone else later. Think about the last time you did something genuinely unrecorded, not just physically alone in a room, actually untracked, no app logging your movement, no platform storing your attention, not building the story in your head as you lived it. When was that exactly? Because those private spaces your ancestors actually protected weren't wasted moments. They were where the self got built without a jury watching, where you could fail without consequence, be afraid without performing bravery, be lost without performing certainty, be exactly, specifically messily yourself, the version nobody grades. The Hawthorne Effect isn't a workplace curiosity. It is a window into the machinery underneath all of us. We are built to switch modes the moment we believe we are seen. That switch is ancient. It is automatic, and it is nearly impossible to fully turn off. But what all of it keeps pointing toward, from Dunbar's group dynamics to Boehm's guarded solitude to Turkle's disappearing private self, is this: the version of you that exists when someone is watching and the version that exists when no one is are genuinely different people. And we are living through an era quietly dismantling every condition the second version needs to survive. So here is the only question worth carrying out of this video. Who are you at midnight over the sink? Who are you in the car with the music too loud and no one in the lane beside you? Who are you in the silence between the notifications, the cameras, the invisible eyes? That version, the unwitnessed one, the one with nothing to perform for and no audience to manage. When was the last time you actually let them exist? If this made you feel seen in a way that made you slightly uncomfortable, send it to someone who does the exact same things when they're alone. They'll know immediately what you mean. They'll just pretend they don't. Because the person you are when no one is watching is the most accurate thing about you. And most of us spend our entire lives making sure no one ever meets them.